have a couple of decks utilizing Forest. So this is, for the most part, a pretty standard Beast aggro list, but we've added Moto Wolf to take advantage of Forest, which is going to boost it all the way up to 1600. The main idea is that opponents will not be able to clear with their own low-level monsters. Additionally, it is another target for Rage of the Beast, making it easier to remove the opponent's back row. Let's just go ahead and jump right into the first game. And we are up against a Yuga. They could be playing just about anything. We win the coin flip, and we have a Summon Skull. We may want to bring it out. Though, we can also set up this future Pikachu. So let's see. Is it worth it to summon? I'm gonna go with... No. There's a chance we brick on the next turn. Actually, yeah. We're not running a ton of trap cards here. So I think it's worth it to bring out Summon Skull, as we're pretty likely to draw at least one unplayable card. Back during the first format of the game, where everything was a monster, it would be okay to keep 2 tribute monsters in your hand. But it seems a little bit dangerous. We do get punished here by a 3500 coming in with Aim Eagle. But actually they aren't able to do it because Summon Skull is only level 6. So it's just a normal Ace Breaker. Oh, and they have to go for Thunder the Thunder. And they actually give up Widespread Ruin just to remove the Summon Skull. This really paid off for us. I probably would have kept the Widespread Ruin if I were them. Unfortunately, they do hit the Pikachu. So we are going to be forced to go for an Ancient Arise Dragon here, as Dragius is unable to clear. And we don't want the Ace Breaker to be alive on the next turn to deal with us. So we simply swing in and pass. As you can see, if we did keep the Summon Skull in hand, our hand would have been filled with tribute monsters, and we probably would not have been able to play the game. Now all they need to do is draw any tribute monster of their own, and we are going to be losing the Ancient Arise Dragon here. Especially with Thunder the Thunder already here to weaken it, though it doesn't matter too much, as all of their bosses should be 2500 or higher. Oh, we see a defense mode though, meaning they probably brick. We see multiple back row, and I am fine with this. We already know Widespread Ruin is in their graveyard, and we actually have 2 copies of Rage of the Beast. Definitely gonna go ahead and make use of them. Though maybe saving it for later would make more sense when we actually are threatened by trap cards, but I think this is fine. Let's go ahead and bring in Dragius and just clear the opponent's board. We don't need to mill with Ancient Arise Dragon, as this is more than enough attack points, and we have already set up the Pikachu. There's nothing else we want in the graveyard for later. Alright, so we now have 2 bosses on board, but a Barrel Dragon could easily turn this around. Flip a couple heads, and it single-handedly takes out both of my boss monsters, which is incredibly threatening. Let's see what they draw. Bum, 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 bum. Oh. Adam says, there are leaks of the Yuga now maximum skills. Yeah, so from what I've seen, a lot of people are saying it is probably gonna be a event skill. I don't think they would give us a skill in the game that just brings Yggdrago out onto the field right away without even needing it in your deck. But it would be a really a pretty interesting, I guess, way to go for it. I wonder how many different trap cards, like, because you can already use Recital, but you'd be really weak to Acebreaker. Speaking of Acebreaker, it is going to clear out our board, but with no other cards on the field, as long as we draw some low levels, we'll be in a good spot. Unfortunately, we have not found any of our forests, so we haven't been able to show off the fun forest gameplay. That said, we are making a pretty big push this turn. Let's bring in the Ancient Ice Dragon here for sure, and then swing in for 3,000. Activate the effect, and oh, there we go. Finally, we find ourselves a forest. This is a pretty good board state. I think it should be pretty difficult to clear all three, barring a Lucky Barrel Dragon. And then we already have the follow-up with Ancient Arise to clear out their next boss monster. Cantrip says saving up gems for the first maximums, even if they suck, because they are neat. Yeah, I mean, whenever now comes out, I'm definitely going to be playing some Yggdrago on ladder. We will have to wait and see how good it actually ends up being. I think it could be bricky. So it really depends on how good the skills they give him are. Even though we have a lower deck size, it's only something like a 20% chance to be able to get out an Yggdrago on your first or second turn. We see the Lamune in attack mode, which makes me think they are going to go for an ultimate bond. But no, it is just a tough striker. And this is fine. Ancient Ice Dragon will go down, but we already have the next one in hand, and they are even clearing the board. This might be a Recital, which could be problematic. 1600. Interesting. So here's where Forest is going to come in handy. Let's go ahead and use the spell. Then we Forest. Bring out the Tiger. Next up is Ancient Arise. And now, even if they have a Music Princess's Recital, our Moto Wolf is going to be boosted up to 1600, allowing a crash. Oh, but it's not, so we just win the game. Arventer asks, are we going to play Pure Aqua now that we have the Field Spell and new monster? I will be playing Disco Fever, probably sometime next week. I currently only have one copy of the new monster and none of the Field Spell, so I need to wait until we are further in the event, and I've had the time to grind it. But I am excited to try out some more Aquas. Bum, bum, ba, ba, bum. Yeah, Mimi does have the new skill to search out Dion Kettle, but I can't imagine there being very many situations where you want to get rid of Triple Threat Thunder. So I am not having very high hopes for it. Party Party Party, being able to be exchanged for the boss monster is neat. I guess, but it doesn't really seem that impactful. And the skill restriction is basically the same as Disco Fever, at least currently. If they add Shock Dragon into the game, I would see a good argument for using it with the new skill, since it would finally be another level 7 monster. But barring that, there aren't a ton of 1600 attack point monsters that cost 2 tributes that we would be able to run in the new skill, but not with Disco Fever. Actually, I can go pull up the list. So if we go to rush cards, we want effect monsters with max attack of 1600, and a minimum level of 5. So, yeah, there are some rulers that have 0 attack. Oh, actually, there are some maximum monsters who have a base attack under 1700, but then could be maximum summoned and be much bigger. So maybe a Mimi maximum deck would be interesting. I'm not sure if we're gonna get any of those right away though, since Yggdrago has 2000. But if we get something like Vast Vulcan, you could run it with the new Mimi skill, which would be kind of interesting. And Vast Vulcan has been traditionally known as the worst maximum monster, so it is one we might actually get relatively early on. Other than that, you get some archetypes like chairs, ants, etc. But not a whole ton of interesting ones. A lot of the cards are suboptimal, to say the least. When you're a level 7 monster with low attack, you have to be doing a lot to be good. Right, and speaking of Mimi, here is Johnny. We've played against this player so many times. And this is the only Mimi player I've basically ever seen in the last week. And they are still on those aquas. Starting off with a Prismatic Dragius. Oh, and you can see they have the new SR monster. I don't think we need to activate the force this turn. So we are just gonna go for Ancient Arise Dragon. If they have a Widespread Ruin, it is pretty unfortunate, but we're gonna do what we can. Activate the skill. Oh, and we lose our own Widespread Ruin nice and early. Both of those are spell cards, apparently. When fighting against an Aqua deck, we do actually have to worry about these spell cards. Triple Threat Thunder is always going to be a huge threat. Being able to just reduce one of our monsters straight to 0. Ghost Cyclone is even going to get them the extra card here. Unfortunate. And with only 2400 attack, Ancient Arise Dragon is not able to keep up with whatever tribute monsters they summon. We see the monster reincarnation, and there is a Dragius. Also, with these all being in attack mode, a Triple Threat Thunder is a... That's game. Triple Threat Thunder plus Dragius is basically a death sentence. But, we'll just give it another try, see if we can get another win with the Beasts. Though, seeing the Mimi play does kind of make me want to switch over to Beast Gear myself. Up next, oh, I think they had the same profile icon as I did, so it should be a top 100 player from the Rush Festival. Alright, we are up first. We're gonna need another Beast Monster if we want to set the Pocket Pikachu for later. Unfortunately, these Motowolves are Beast Warriors, so they do not count. And because of that, we are just gonna set the Pocket Pikachu face down. I don't think we're realistically going to be using the Widespread Ruin this turn, so I went ahead and turned off the toggle. Oh, and they just immediately have the Ghost Cyclone. Unlucky. Second game in a row where our Widespread Ruin is just lost on the first turn. Incoming boss. Looks like we are fighting an Ultimate Bond. But if they have a lone monster on board, we do have a chance to actually get through this. Let's start with Dragius. Yeah, we don't have another beast in hand, so we can't use Rage of the Beasts. Oh wait, no we can. Okay. Flip this, flip this. Rage of the Beast, hit this one. Spell card, probably not the one we wanted to hit. Tribute to, go for Speedy Performer. Get the buff to a 2900 Dragius. We do mill Dragius here, which is unfortunate. But this is a very strong board. Unfortunately, we do lose to the barrier if we go for the attack. But it is lethal if it goes through. So I'm gonna go for it. And it is barrier, unfortunately. So we could have kept our Dragius alive, but 3000 damage is still pretty good. Got a little bit greedy and was punished for it. If they had Widespread Ruin, we would have actually been in a slightly better spot here, funnily enough. We see Seahorse Carrier, sure. Oh, and then they can actually Ultimate Bond to get rid of the Seahorse Carrier. Oh, but they already have an Eagle, so they aren't going to. Oh, and they're actually just summoning out an Avant Wolf. Very interesting. I guess probably playing around the barrier was the better play. But yeah, here we don't have much of anything. But we can actually make a pretty strong push by simply jamming down shield and sword. Go 1, 2, 3. Activate Silverwolf's effect. Debuff the shine. And we'll just go for it. This isn't lethal. But it is pretty strong. They are down to just 800 life. And I knew that was a 1400. I shouldn't have attacked. Or realistically, I should have actually attacked it with the Gazelle, given up the damage, and just kind of gone for clearing the board. Because giving this deck more resources is a really bad plan. Barrel Dragon does hit, so my board is going to be cleared, but that is fine since I have the Pakachu to recover my position anyway. I guess we're looking for boss monsters and Rage of the Beasts, which we don't find much of either. We have this Pakachu, but it's like barely even worth doing anything with. Okay, funnily enough, I am on Tribute Boost. But do I want to pay 1,000 life points? I don't think so. Let's go ahead and... so 500 attack. This is 1,000. So it plays through the barrier. But if they have widespread, it's not great. Oh, and we actually just win the game. Welcome. And Toy says, trying to get caught with the new Aqua cards. Yeah, I think it's definitely a King of Games viable deck. I mean, it was already a good enough deck before. So the new support can only be helpful. And that puts us to 2-1 with Forest Aggro. Probably gonna play 5 or 10 games before we switch over to Beast Gear World, which is also going to be using Forest. It is pretty considering that the queue times take so long though. We are well into the month, and there still don't appear to be enough players in King of Games. Is it easy to rank up on Rush Duels? I mean, it depends if you own all the cards or not. But I would say I've had a relatively easy time with it. But I also play Rush Duels, you know, multiple hours every single day. So I am a little bit too familiar with the format. Also, with cards like Widespread Ruin, getting to the actual King of Games rank from Gold 5 can feel a little bit frustrating sometimes, since every now and then you're just going to brick and lose, or the opponent's going to have the perfect trap card to stop you. So I wouldn't call it, like, super easy, but definitely a lot easier than in Speed Duel, where you have Platinum and Legend rank to get through as well. You can't rank down at all. And if you need some help building a deck, feel free to join the Discord server and post an image of what you're using, and there will be some people who are willing to help. Alright, they start with just a lone set. I could bring out Dragias here, but if they have Widespread Ruin, I don't see the point. I'm just gonna swing in with the monsters I have, and this is actually a little bit higher than 2500. With Widespread Ruin to protect myself, I don't think I'm in too much danger. They probably have one low-level monster and then a bunch of tributes, and they didn't want to get rid of their only low-level monster. It's kind of my guess. Which Yu-Gi-Oh movie did you rewatch? I know there's the Pyramid of Light one, Bonds Beyond Time, and there should be another one, I think. Unless I'm mistaken. But let's go ahead and see what my opponent is up to. If they didn't concede on turn 1, I think they do have something, like, good in their hand that they were just like, oh, I can't summon it. Oh, Dark Side of Dimensions. Yeah, that is the other one. Alright, and they appear to have closed out the application. Apparently, summoning Gazelle is just too strong. Also, I do want to point out, we have barely used Forest at all. We're running 2 copies. Oh, Stardom Light. Okay. But a lone Giftarist is definitely not going to be enough. Yeah, and that is going to be game. We have the Widespread Ruin. And even if we didn't, we had Shield and Sword to switch it over to 0 attack. So let's just summon out a monster and get in there for game. Unfortunately, this has been my experience playing Psychics as well. They just never do anything. Definitely a bit of a frustrating experience. I'll go ahead and send them the nice. But I want to keep playing this deck until we manage to get a game or two where Force actually makes an impact. We did have the one game where it would have helped, but we ended up winning just like anyway, regardless. Bum, ba-da-ba-ba-bum, bum. I still think we need to get a 1400 that will get boosted by Forest to really make the Forest deck feel complete. Having 2 monsters capable of going above 1500 is really nice, but it is a little bit unfortunate that everybody's actually running the Beast engine, so half the time, even if you do get up a Forest, they're just going to be able to summon their own Gazelle and benefit from it. Alright, here we go. We are starting with Forest. And a couple of monsters that benefit from it. However, with a hand like this, I do want to just bring in Dragius, so we're gonna not activate the field spell as a method to protect ourselves from an opposing boss, from the opposing beast engines. We keep the Ancient Arise Dragon in hand, since the extra 100 attack does make a difference against opposing aggro players, and even Roman with Prima Katana goes up to 2500 if I have a lone monster. So, oh, or here, Kime Ruler, you can see it's a trade rather than just beating over the Ancient Arise. So I just got into a way better position by summoning Dragius out on turn 1. Alright, now it's our move, but this is exactly what I meant. You see how their monster is Gazelle? And that's frustrating. That said, if they have the Widespread Ruin, they kind of just have it. I don't think bringing out the Ancient Arise Dragon is the better play. I'd much rather swing in with a Summoned Skull. And then I at least get to keep Gazelle, but I could also just clear. But I don't think that is worth it. Especially since I would be making a Pak Pak 2 live for them. 96 says, it's interesting that rush skills let you directly affect the opponent's monster, like the Red Eye skill, debuff them by 400. Speed skills avoid doing that. Yeah, and then there's the Ascesis. I know there's the one that like turns everything into Skull Servant, if that is what you're talking about. But then there's also whatever the other one is. It's like Sealed Tombs. I don't remember which of those is more relevant. Anyway, let's go ahead and Widespread Ruin. I didn't want to take 3,200 damage. 1,500, much more reasonable number. But yeah, I have not played enough speed duels to know for sure. But I mean, I completely believe you. Let's go ahead and Pak Pakachu. Bring back our Gazelle. Then Ancient Arise Dragon, and we know that they actually cannot bring down a Widespread Ruin this time. So our Gazelle is going up to 1,700. We set the shield and sword for later, and let's go. Even if they have a recital, we are able to swing in, but it looks like it's probably the barrier. It is actually pretty interesting. I think that Recital might actually be a stronger card than the barrier, but everyone's running it. But if I wanted to play around Recital, I should have attacked with Gazelle first. But to play around the barrier, I need to swing with Ancient Arise Dragon first. So knowing what the opponent is more likely to be playing can make a big difference in the duel. And since the barrier is so popular, so many people don't play around Recital that you can actually sometimes benefit from it even more than you normally would. Oh, okay, I actually didn't know about the bone skill. Right, here comes Dragius, and unfortunately for us, we do not have a trap card here. And with... oh, okay. This is just game. Even if they whiffed, Dragius would have been able to blow us out of the water. I'll go ahead and send them the nice. I think they, I don't know. I can't really say they played like significantly better or drew significantly better. I don't know if there's something else I could have done. But I'm sure I probably could have played it a little bit differently to have some more life points. Oh, yeah, the barrier being a rare versus the super rare for Recital is actually a pretty good point. There are probably a ton of people who don't have the Recital, but are still running trap cards. I had never really considered it. Oh, and I mean barriers even in all those structure decks now. Alright, so this is actually a pretty good looking opening hand. And we are once again against Johnny Blaze, Mimi Enthusiast, and apparently the only other player in King of Games. 2-1 Dion Keto. But do they have a trap card to back it up? Okay, the High Heel Priestess lets them draw an extra card. But, if it is not Widespread Ruin, then we are in a very good spot. Let's go ahead. Well, actually, if it's... So, the thing is... If they even the barrier stops my Dragius, so unfortunately, I know that Johnny is on barriers, so I have to bring in Ancient Arise rather than Dragius here, which is pretty unfortunate. But it's widespread, so I guess I just lose the monster anyway. And we are off to another terrible start. Johnny is completely destroying us. But I'm not sure there's much I could have done differently there. Like, not doing anything at all, ever, because they have a widespread, and waiting to draw Rage of the Beast probably is not a great decision. So some games, you are just gonna get blown out like this. Especially if we buff both of them. It does. Oh, and here comes the Dragius. Okay. Pat is well and above lethal. Congrats to Johnny. Oh, hello, Axel. How are you doing? So that is... Well, no, we still haven't gotten a single game where we actually show off the power of Forest. So we're gonna keep going until we do one of those. And then we'll switch to Beast Gear. And then maybe we will just start playing Aqua. Because, I mean, if Johnny keeps destroying us with it, it must be pretty solid. Yeah, so I'm playing more or less the regular Beast engine, but I have thrown in some Forest and Moto Wolf. The idea is that this brings these two monsters to above 1500, and your opponent's low-level monsters will never be able to properly contest your normal summons. Unfortunately, it does really rely on drawing Forest early, and also not being against a deck also using the Beast engine, which is all of them. Are the new event cards good? They are good in the Aqua deck, but you aren't going to need them outside of playing Mimi. For this, I think we do want to set up a Pikachu for later, so we're going to set 2 Beasts and 1 Moto Wolf. We can pass turn after that, and we're keeping the others. Silver Wolf actually having an effect makes it pretty useful to stay in hand. And we do also need to worry about the Beast Gear boss monster, Catapult Kong. That's what it's called. And with 3 back row, I am not sure how we're ever planning on clearing all of this stuff. Especially not like this. Activating Forest is a losing game plan here, as we're going to be buffing the opponent's monsters, which is not a great idea. Bum, bum, bum. But I guess that does mean maybe we've encountered the Beast Gear, and that means we should switch over to Beast Gear ourselves. Yeah. Catapult Kong coming in, destroying my monsters. And are they going to be able to get in for 2300 direct? Or not? Oh, it's even prismatic. I didn't notice. They've been working on upgrading these cards at the card trader. Okay, so Shield and Sword is actually pretty good because it lets us get through the barrier. But if they have widespread ruin, then it still doesn't matter. Let's just go ahead and bring out our cards. Get rid of the forest, bring in Dragius, and as long as they don't have widespread ruin specifically, we are fine. But they do, so that is going to be game. Let's just scoop it up and head over to our own Beast Gear list. I agree with the idea of getting skills that set the field spells. I'm really surprised that we didn't get them, because early Duel Links, when it first came out, was like all about those skills. We had the Mako Water deck, the Dino Beatdown, etc. So I was really expecting the first month meta to be like the skill that sets Mountain plus Dragius. Obviously, I'm pretty sure Dragonic Resonance is even better than setting a Mountain, which is even more reason why we should have been able to get it. But in any case, here is our wacky Beast Gear list. We're running Trike Fox, but no Beast Summoner, because neither of these cards actually work with Lyogon, which is the card I actually care about. I don't think Catapult Kong is all that interesting. We have Recital, because we're running a ton of Spell and Trap cards, and both of these cards want you to remove your own monsters. So we're probably not going to have a ton of monsters on field, so Recital acts as an advantage engine. Other than that, it's just a ton of Beast Warriors. And Forest, so we can buff them up. I don't think this deck is going to be particularly strong. But I am hoping to take a win or two with it. Welcome, Hassan. And then, okay, Field Spell Deal would be a great idea. Oh, so like discard a Field Spell and then draw a card. There is actually a monster that does that with Umi, Big Umi, and whatever the third one is, I think. So I can definitely see that coming as a skill. Because drawing multiple field spells is always rough, for sure. Though, the question is whether or not it would be impactful enough for players to actually run it over more dedicated versions of their deck skills. Obviously, with something wacky, like my Forest decks, I would kind of enjoy it. Oh, and we actually see Burning Blaze Dragon, a card capable of destroying my forest. How rude. And unfortunately, my opponent does not have 3 monsters, which means Trike Fox is not able to use the effect. That said, we do have access to Rage of the Beast here. So let's just go ahead and pop a face down. We do hit the widespread ruin, which is fantastic. 2300 is enough to clear 1800 even through a barrier. So Lyogon is going to clear out this Burning Blaze Dragon, no problem. And with our own widespread ruin to protect us, we should be able to survive their next turn board. 2000 defense points is even enough to handle Ancient Arise Dragon. Obviously, they do have an extra monster on field, and with 6 cards, they could establish a Ancient Arise Dragon plus another boss monster, which would be rough. But we'll have to wait and see. If it's only low-level monsters and a like the Clear Ice and Burning Blazes, we are actually fine. But let's see what they do. So Ancient Arise Dragon, so far okay. They do have both monsters in the graveyard, but I don't think they are actually going to return them. Oh, and they are battling. Now it is time for our widespread ruin to turn the tide. We draw a ton of monsters. Let's bring out the Hitotsume Giants. Both at 1200. Then we can bring in Catapult Kong to make an even stronger board. Buggy Dog rounds things out, and we head into the battle phase. Lyogon's effect not useful here. And we can't use it anyway. Alright, Hanan is down to just 1100. And we know that their hand is probably pretty awkward. They only ended on 2 monsters, and they didn't bring out another monster capable of defeating Lyogon. So they might have 2 level 7s. Or maybe it's something like Clock Pikachu that they are keeping for later. Okay. And here comes Monster Reincarnation. Luckily Catapult Kong is also above 1600. So they are just not able to get any value off of Ancient Rise Dragon's secondary effect, which is a major draw of the deck. Silver Wolf is fine. Depending on their board, it might actually make sense to debuff the Buggy Dog. Since Ancient Rise clears one, a 1 tribute monster clears another, and then if they have a 3rd monster, they might not actually be able to clear it. Okay, Icy Increase is being... Oh, and Silver Wolf actually debuffs the defense, allowing Ancient Rise Dragon to clear Catapult Kong. Very clever. So that is definitely goodbye to my board. We haven't drawn any Curry Bots yet, but they do have 3 monsters. So Trike Fox might be able to bring out a Catapult Kong, but Catapult Kong can't even clear. So I think all I can really do here is go for the Curry Bot, summon the Buggy Dog, activate our field spell, bring out our boss monster, and get in for the damage we can. Obviously, if they have another Silver Wolf, we are in a lot of trouble here. But they'd now that we have the Force, they're going to need a Burning Blaze to lower the defense even more. Or they need both Silver Wolves. So hopefully they aren't able to blow us up with Ancient Rise Dragon's effect. And if that's the case, we should at least survive the turn, thanks to Recital. And if we survive the turn, dealing 300 damage should be a breeze. Alright, clear Ice Dragon coming down, but that one I am okay with, I think. It's probably preferable to have a clear ice here than it is to have a forest. Right, they are setting their own card. Have we already dealt with Widespread? We have. Ancient Forces coming out. But leaving a 1200 attack point La Moon on board is pretty threatening. Recital keeps us alive. And now all we need is 1 strong monster to beat over this La Moon, and we can win. Interesting. Lyogon. Should be enough. Let's Rage of the Beasts. And this time we're gonna hit this. Oh, it was a Recital. I mean, not that Recital was gonna do anything when they had 3 monsters on the board. In comes our Lyogon, and we just attempt to clear here. And we do it. That is 1 win for the Beast Gears. Honestly, not a bad start. Ancient Forces is a solid deck. So being able to actually play around the destruction of Ancient Rise Dragon is a high point for this. And Force, I feel like, actually did come in handy here, since it boosts us, it makes it harder for Ancient Rise Dragon to use that effect. Very interesting. Also, with Gazelle going to 1700, if they are running barriers, which they probably shouldn't be, but we would go down to 1300, which means Gazelle is able to clear La Moon, even through a barrier. So true, Stan. Alright, we see the Catapult Kong. But on turn 1, even So the issue with this card, the opponent is very likely to set 3 monsters on the first turn. But if you have a Catapult Kong, you're just going to be attacking them anyway with your monsters. So unless you're able to cheat out the Catapult Kong on turn 1, like, who cares? Destroying the monsters by setting away your guys is the same thing. Or it's actually significantly worse than just attacking with the Moto Wolf. Like, I might hit a Grace Princess or something, but I'd much rather have the extra card. They open the widespread, outplayed, outskilled, they are simply superior, etc. Landing this Lyogon's effect is probably going to be incredibly difficult. But it would be pretty good into this matchup. Okay, so they are boosting the Lamoon rather than the Piercing Samurai, which feels odd to me. Because, like, what if I run Sword and Shield? Why would you want to keep Lamoon on the board? Significantly worse card. Alright, and this is looking not great. Speaking of Shield and Sword, this is exactly what I meant. We can just throw down our face downs, and maybe this will get us through the turn. Let's swing in with the Buggy Dog. Obviously, Dragon not being dealt with does mean 2 bosses are pretty likely on this turn, but we do have both widespread and Recital to deal with it. Here comes a Kime Ruler. Sure. Do they have another trick in hand? They do. That explains why they were willing to sacrifice it off. We see the Red Eyes Black Dragon coming back in. And Buggy Dog is weakened even more. So if they have another level monster, we are unfortunately going to go down, even if it's a weak one. Alright, but they don't. So our Buggy Dog is taking on the world. A widespread ruin destroys the Kime Ruler. And Red Eyes Black Dragon will be halted by our Recital. Which, I mean, this is just endlessly funny to me. Alright, let's see it. Forest coming down. Set this. Now the issues, they probably also have their own form of barrier or whatever. Our life points are kind of low. So unfortunately, I think we need to just die. We're just gonna lose. I could have kept Lyogon on board and just hoped that 2500 was enough for them to not be able to clear it. Honestly, I wonder if that would have been a good plan. Because they're not on Celerity, they can't actually change it to defense mode. And they were down 2 chicks. No, just 1. Well, yeah. Oh, but they had the reincarnation anyway. So, it didn't matter. They would have been able to clear this, regardless of what I did. Oh, and with Seraph of Darkness, it would have been going to defense mode. We did what we could. Bum, 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 ba, 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 da, bum, 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 ba, 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 da, bum. Not a huge fan of Fresh Jewels, but enjoy the videos. I'm glad you appreciate them anyway. I know there are definitely a few people who watch the channel who don't play a ton of Rush. I'm actually pretty much the same way with MBT's videos. I don't play any Master Duel or anything like it, but I still watch most of their videos. Though I do focus on generally the less Yu-Gi-Oh! Oriented ones, like the Twitter threads. Bum, bum, bum. I wonder if there's a different skill I could be using here, to make it better. Right now we're on Advanced Burst Draw with the idea that, it's another way to get around 2500 attack point monsters. But obviously this skill is very restrictive. Yeah, I guess I will go for this. This is definitely not a great board. But, let's see if they can defeat my 2400 pass. If they don't... Oh, yeah, they have it. Okay. If my opponent bricked without any high levels, it would have actually been very funny, because then Catapult Kong would be an incredible threat. And here we see the issue with only being a 2400 without the Beast Gear World. Though it looks like they did have Fashion of Faith, so it wouldn't have mattered even if we had that extra 100 attack points. Ow. They got a turn 1 double boss board, thanks to the new Fashion of Faith. Looking pretty strong. And unfortunately, we draw no boss monsters of our own. So all we can do is set a bunch of cards and pass turn. Keeping the Trike Fox in hand will allow us to summon another Catapult Kong if we draw it. But even if we do, Catapult Kong isn't able to clear either of these monsters. So I'm not sure it does anything. I could Widespread Ruin, but again, no real reason to. They're still gonna have a 2500 on board, and our other monster that can actually deal with them, Lyogon, is able to attack both of them at once. Well, maybe not if we draw a bunch of trap cards. And of course, Trike Fox doesn't even work with the level 8 boss monster, which is ridiculous. 1, 2. I'm gonna keep this Music Resistive side alive, and just take out the defense mode monster. The plan is simple. I will eventually just trigger this card when I am able to, and win the game that way. I'll clear out all of their monsters, and have the unstoppable Lyogon. Disco Fever is gonna boost up their Dianketo. But that is fine with me. Especially since it means they have a 200 attack point Kana on board. Oh, but here comes another Boogie Master. Okay. That's fair. Monster Reincarnation, what will they go for? I guess I can just grab a 1400. Oh, the Fashion of Faith. That does make things a little bit more problematic. Since it's able to boost both of these. However, they still are not going to be able to clear, because we have a face-down, widespread ruin. So that one is down. Then this one is getting blocked with Recital. So our hand not looking great. Not gonna lie. Still not looking great. But we can double up. Let's raid to the beast. Blow up this. Throw down another face down. It'd be very convenient if we were actually able to use the effect with just one monster. But we cannot. So what we're gonna do is go like this here. Destroy the high heel princess and take out this in a trade to set up our next recital. I don't think they should be able to get 2 monsters above 2500 very easily, especially since they've already used multiple Dion Ketos and the monster reincarnation. They are running out of boss monsters. Oh, interesting, the Tough Striker is here because they're running Shining City Knights, and it is another light monster you can actually run with the skill. Because it's not an effect monster. Interesting. Okay. Leaving this 500 attack point monster on board seems a little bit questionable to me. But sure. Let's set. I am running out of cards in deck though. That said, I do still want to secure my position. But we are not going to be getting rid of the forest. And Widespread Ruin is already down. I think. Or is it not? It isn't. Okay. So do I Rage of the Beasts? No, since it doesn't actually matter. So I can actually keep it for later. Here we just deal some damage and move on. Oh wait, I can actually attack. Okay. Let's clear out their other monster as well. Don't need to give them a bunch of extra resources for no reason. Thing about it, so what does the Disco Fever deck look like? If you can run Tough Strikers, you actually have multiple boss monsters, which was one of my major issues. Okay, Hammer Crush coming in. And they actually hit Rage of the Beast, so it is serving some purpose. Which is interesting. Okay, but how are they gonna deal with my 2500 attack monsters? Obviously it's the field spell. Any face-up light monster with 200 extra attack is gonna be able to clear 1 Lyogon. Here it comes, 2700, as expected. So 4, huh? Do we Catapult Kong? I don't think so. I could Lyogon here, but is it even worth clearing that? I think I'd rather just set up more monsters. Or just pass even. Yeah, I'm just gonna build up some extra resources. Oh, I could have attacked. Well, that could be a Widespread Ruin they don't want to use earlier. And unfortunately, I think I've used both Rage of the Beasts. Yeah, both are in the graveyard. So we're gonna have a lot of trouble, actually clearing out their board. However, we could potentially win by deck out. If we do it just right. We Recital. And we could even keep it alive. Which seems interesting to me. Okay, let's go like this. We draw 1. And then we're gonna get rid of our weaker monsters. 4. And 4. We'll draw 1 card next turn still. Which is fine. Activate the effect. And we send these to the graveyard. So now as long as that's only a barrier, we're in an okay spot. Maybe I set 1 monster though. If it's widespread, it was widespread and they were holding it. So nothing we could have done there. I don't think there was any play we could make that would lead to us winning. Oh, and they even have a Pierce. Very interesting. I mean, maybe just destroying the Shining City Knights would have been enough earlier. I don't know. Hassan says, unfortunately there aren't a ton of people following it live. Makes it feel like I'm talking to myself and not to the followers. I mean, I respect people who want to sit around and lurk. I'm trying my best just to explain what's going on in the game. I think, I mean, it says 19 people are on YouTube, which is a ton of people to me. I think that is a very high number of people following it live. Over on Twitch, it is just like 1, which is, yeah, sure, not that many. But I'm pretty happy with the viewership numbers. And I don't want to pressure anyone into chatting if they don't want to. Oh, welcome, Excalibur. And I agree with Felix, yeah, there wasn't very much. And Panda says 21 is more than the amount of people who've hit King of Games. True. Actually, just factual. We pass turn. Alright, we see them tribute summoning out the turn 1 Dragius. But this is fine. Oh, they're on some kind of Red Eyes build. 2 chicks, huh? But probably still just Resonance at the end of the day. Or maybe not. But I imagine it's probably. I'll let it go down. Keeping the extra monster around is actually useful for Lyogon. But we don't draw one anyway, so who cares? And I'd rather have the recitals for this next turn. Definitely going to Forest here. And then we just set, and set. 1900 is enough to deal with the low-level monsters. Sometimes. The issue is we have to put it in a defense mode because there's a Gravity Pest Dragon on board. And unfortunately, if they are on Resonance, they have a pretty good chance of being able to buff a bunch of guys to 2,000 and then beat me anyway. And they're throwing down a ton of back row as well. That's a fantastic hand to draw into. When you already have an established board. Just getting the back row to protect you is pretty nice. Looks like they decide to pass turn. And here's my chance to turn things around. Let's flip someone up the Catapult Kong. Bring down Currybot. Oh, I should have Shield and Sworded first. That's rough. But I'll still go for it. Oh, we can Rage to the Beast here. We hit the Widespread Ruin because we are simply superior gamers. I'll get rid of the Forest here. And now we can just battle. I did lose out on 500 damage due to my misplay. But clearing out both of these monsters is pretty useful. And we still have a Recital to help us going into the next turn. Obviously with Shield and Sword I would have really liked to be able to take advantage of Dragite with 0 attack. But the boss monsters are just so much more threatening, I didn't feel I had much of a choice. Right, they are setting some monsters. Looks like they don't have anything. But we have a Catapult Kong, which is not great for them. Catapult Kong can use its effect here. We send away Hitotsume Giant, and only that, who will destroy one of the face downs. Then we summon out Moto Wolf, and use the other one. We'll destroy another face down. Then we summon another Moto Wolf. And we battle. And they don't have Widespread Ruin, but they do have a Recital. So, we only get in for 2400. Oh, they might have 2 Recitals. No. Okay. So we get in for some solid damage here. And if they didn't have anything else, these 2 should also be low-level monsters. Felix says, finally Kong does something. True, yeah. And Panda says, Widespread Ruin is more often than not the card closest to the deck. That has been what I find as well. It's because, at lower ranks, a lot of players set it face down in the first because they're like, oh wow, this is a great card. I want to set it. So a lot of players are destroying that card. So then as players get better at the game, they notice, hey, everyone's destroying this card. I'm going to set it over here. And then of course, players like us start targeting that zone instead. Yeah, I have bricked entirely here. I do not want to return a field spell, no. Unfortunately, I have to just go Lyogon. Because I otherwise can't clear the Ancient Arise. I mean, I should still have plenty of low levels in the deck, I think. I think I just drew kind of poorly. Phoenix Dragon, unfortunate for me. They are definitely going to be able to bring out some pretty big guys here. Oh, and they have the Hammer Crush deal. This has suddenly become very threatening, very fast. Hammer Crush going in, destroying presumably my Recital. But they could destroy the forest if they are funny. So the big question, I think, is whether or not Phoenix Dragon is going to bring out the Red Eyes or just another monster capable of actually killing the Lyogon. They could also get the Red Eyes for the cheaper summon if they already have something in hand. But they actually picked Gravity Pest Dragon, which was the last card out of all of their tributes I would have expected. Here's Ancient Arise Dragon. And then, okay. So, oh, another Triad Drago. That is risky. I don't think this is lethal. I'm pretty sure they just deck out. Panda points it out. They need to be careful if they don't want to deck out. But it's a little bit too late. They've kind of gone all in here. And there's no way this is 5,000 damage. So that is gonna be game. I can just pass turn. Picking up another win for the Beast Gears. Though I still don't. Oh, they were on Hammer Crush deal. I remember now. I'll go ahead and send them over a nice. But that has gotta be a weird deck they've brewed up. Not sure I'm very supportive of it. It looked like it was basically pure dragon, so why were they not on Resonance? They are dreaming. So true. Ba-bum, ba-ba-bum, ba-da-ba-bum. Speaking of Twitch earlier, I do wonder if there is, I know there were a ton of people on Duel Links earlier. Like, I think there's some big, like, Spanish tournament or something. Because there are a couple of, large streams going on that I have basically no recognition of. And one's in, Portuguese, which should be Brazilian. Anyway, we are up first, and we have a Lyogon pass. I mean, I guess that's fine. Or I could actually, okay, I can actually just, set 3. Which seems like the much more reasonable play. No need to bring out the boss monster right away. Oh, and of course, they are not psychics. They are on beast aggro of some variety. But they have brick. That's not looking great. A lone gazelle. Though, with a hand like this, I guess they don't need to do much. Other than click the widespread ruin button to have a huge advantage. I will activate the forest anyway. But I am not expecting this to be... Wow. I did not expect that attack to actually get through. I wonder what their face down cards could be then. If it's not a trap. Like, if it was a Ghost Cyclone, they would have already just popped my cards. 5 point gain makes sense for a generic aggro deck. Here comes the Pocket Pikachu, but it's not able to use the effect because there are no other monsters in the graveyard. We know they have 2 high-level monsters in hand. Acebreaker. Probably destroying that one. And then I'm going to protect my monster to try to set up this Lyogon. We need as many Beast Warriors as possible to fuel the effect. And... okay, looks like we are actually going to be able to do it. Unfortunately, this Trike Fox does not function. Just like in general. Should be 1, 2. Then we need to summon out another one so we can actually use the effect. Unfortunately, if they have a barrier, not barrier. If they have recital, we just kind of die. But they didn't use anything last turn, so we're just gonna go in. Then we have the Moto Wolf in attack mode since it's 1600. And non-gazelle low-level monsters are not able to clear it. Let's see what they do. We see a Pocket Pikachu, and this time it is actually live. Meaning they have the gazelle that is capable of clearing the Moto Wolf. Unfortunate. But let's see what they go for. Okay, they bring out the gazelle early. I was not expecting this to be treated off, but I'm fine with it. Dragius, not enough to clear Lyogon by itself. Monster Reincarnation. Do they have a Silver Wolf? No. But they do have a Prima Gitarna. They're actually just choosing All-Seeing White Tiger. Will it be a Silver Wolf in hand or another boss monster? Looking like a boss monster. Or do they just want to swing in? Dianketo. Okay, so they're going to use the Dragius to clear this and get a direct attack, and then trade off the bosses. Interesting play. Oh, they actually trade off the Dragius, which is clearly the much worse decision. But either way, they do have a 2500 on board, which my deck struggles a lot to clear. We'll just throw this down. Summon out the monsters. Protect ourselves with a 2500 attack point monster. Throw down a monster and pass it over. No need to swing in. Since if we're able to stall out for a turn, we can increase its attack and get over Dianketo the proper way. Seahorse Carrier. Unless it's an Acebreaker, I don't see why they need that many cards though. They already have a Boogie Master on board. Maybe it's to fuel that extra 1,000 life points. Lamoon coming in. And then there has to be a boss monster. Barrel Dragon. That is quite risky for us. And they actually get the effect off too. That is probably gonna just be game. I mean, not right now, but I don't see a way we make this comeback. We take the 1500, sure. And then what? We have a Trike Fox. But, I mean, I'm not feeling great about it. Oh, and they don't even have 3 monsters, so I can't use the effect. So, I mean, that's all we can do. And that is not going to be enough. There's only 1 trap card here. So all I need to do is summon any monster, and the game's over. Except that one. That's fine. They're probably just... Yeah, now they have it. I'll use the recital to stall for time, but it's not going to be enough. Send them over the nice, and we'll try again. Bum, bum, ba, ba, bum. I mean, even if I was able to use Trike Fox on the previous turn, it would have just been a super weak monster left on my board that they would have been able to run over anyway. So, not a real winning situation. Okay, we're starting with Forest, which is always nice. And we have a way to get into our boss monster. We're not going to be able to use the effect, though. 3 1500s and a face down. Very interesting opening play. I mean, if we draw Catapult Kong, it would be very funny. As to be able to special it out and get 2 bosses plus Forest. Oh, but here comes 7th edition, so never mind. We are not able to do that. Recital is quite good here. Because it saves us from the 7th Magician. The issue with Lyogon is that it's only at 2500 attack right now. So if they had a barrier face down, we wouldn't be able to, or we'd force a trade with the 7th Magician and then lose the game. But with Recital, we can swing into the weaker monster, and keep the Lyogon on board. With the knowledge, we're able to protect ourselves from the first boss monster. Now, it is still relatively likely they are going to draw into another level 7 monster here, but this is the right play. I run 2 Forest. As you can see from these duels, there are already a ton of times where I have one on the board and draw into another one. So 3 is probably way too much. But if you only draw 1, you're basically never going to be able to actually use the effect. And yeah, we are super dead. They have a Barrel Dragon coming down, which is able to destroy the Lyogon for free, and even if it doesn't, it's 2 boss monsters very much capable of getting over 2500. They do with the effect, which is appreciated. It means we don't just immediately take 6000 damage. But it is not enough to save us from a 7th Magician. And we also know they have a barrier because they didn't activate their trap card last turn. Yeah, and as you can see here, here is another Forest. Not much we can do. I'll just throw this down. Pass, and... after this one, we're gonna take a water break. Alright, looks like we are somehow surviving one more turn. But even with 2 copies of Rage of the Beast, don't know what our game plan is. Sure thing, they got us for 2,600. And, okay. Yeah, you see, we have the recitals, but that's not actually gonna be enough. You know what, I'll just give them the game. Because I want to go stand up, stretch, maybe grab a snack. I'll be back in a couple of minutes, and we'll continue the duels. And we are back and ready to keep losing. Oh, I should have made some popcorn. That would have been a really good idea. I mean, what is better than popcorn for watching people repeatedly get embarrassed on stream with the world's worst deck? Actually, I take that back. We are not playing right across, so things could be worse. By the way, if you are trying to build a Beast Gear deck, I don't think Force actually is that good. As you can see, it's kind of been bricky. It's never really actually helped us clear an opponent's monster. It's caused some 2,500 standoffs, but if you were just running the barrier instead, I would have actually been stopping those 2,500s from hitting me. Drakey is coming out turn 1, sure. Unfortunately, we do not have a response to that. The best we can do is bring out our own 2,500 and pass as well. so here, if the forest was just another monster, I'd be able to actually activate Lyogon's effect. But this is what it is. All we can do is pass turn. And we're playing against Resonance, so I'm expecting either a Gravity Pest Dragon to debuff this, a Slayer that can get over it, or even just Slayer destroying the forest, allowing Dragias to get over it. This is definitely not a great choice. Alright, and here comes the immediate Hammer Crush. Just like any of the other options, it's going to remove the forest and allow Dragias to defeat Lyogon. Oh, and we see a Gravity Pest Dragon, another potential out. So they drew multiple ways of getting rid of my boss. There's a small argument for attacking with the Lyogon last turn, but it just didn't seem worth it. Literally any trap card, and then I just die. So Twin Dragon has used the effect, but I am expecting them to actually swing into this, so we don't take as much damage as we could have. I mean, it's not a huge reduction, but it might keep us in the game for one more turn. Alright, here comes another forest. And we're just throwing everything down. End turn. Hopefully this recital will keep us alive. Or maybe we actually don't even play it. We know they're on Slayer, so they have the chance to just destroy it outright. But if they aren't buffing their Twin Edge Dragons, they are actually going to have a really hard time clearing this board. Oh, but here comes Dragonic Slayer, so never mind. But that's really interesting. I feel like if you're on Resonance, you absolutely want to keep a Twin Edge Dragon around for the maximum number of attacks. Because you can go 1, 2, 3, and then 4800 me. But I guess Fire Guardian is a stronger end board. But no, they had lethal. If they are Resonance, they had lethal. But maybe this is another pure dragon. No, yeah, no. Right, so activate Dragonic Resonance on a Twin Edge. It clears out 2, Dragias clears, and then you have 2800 plus 2500 going direct. Huge misplay from my opponent. Not going to make a difference. There's nothing we can draw here if that's gonna make a difference. So I'll just scoop it up here as well. Let's review the recent matches. We lose 3, 1-1, lost 2, 1-1, and then lost 3 more. So, I mean, if that's not proof of how good this deck is, I don't know what is. Oh, and we actually find another match relatively quickly. Alright, so we've been playing against a lot of Light Machine today. Which probably does just kind of roll over this deck. We don't have a ton of ways to get over 2500, and they have exclusively 2500 and 2500 and 2600 attack point boss monsters. The only way we actually compete is by keeping a Lyogon alive on our field with recitals, and then drawing into the monsters we need to actually activate the effect and clear over the opponent. But this is not a ultimate bond deck. They start with the immediate Yami Roller the Dark Delayer. Not like I was really doing all too much anyway. Catapult Kong, not useful. I will set, and set. Unfortunately, even if I draw like a Trike Fox next turn, they're probably just gonna have a bunch of attack position monsters. So Catapult Kong is not gonna be able to use its effect. Additionally, Lyogon needs 5 cards to function. Oh, but they actually just end turn again, which feels wrong. Like, incorrect, as some people may say. Let's go ahead and activate the effect. Special summon the Catapult Kong. And then, like, yeah, I need to destroy the Yami Ruler because it's at 2,500. So, activate this. Send you. Pop this. Summon. Flip. Set. Activate. And now we actually have a chance to swing indirectly. So we're gonna take it. Oh wait, but we can actually only attack with Catapult Kong. I should have summoned out the Lyogon in that case. I forgot that Trike Fox limits our attacks, the same way that the Sports Dragons do. This is the first time I've actually been able to resolve the card. I wonder if they are on a Beetle deck, because not doing anything is really odd. I mean, let's Rage of the Beast, get rid of their face down. Then Catapult Kong. 1, 2. 1, 2. Oh, but we can't Trike Fox then. I messed up. My plan was that I was going to destroy the cards and then Trike Fox to get out another boss monster. But it does not work that way. So, instead, I'm ending on a really lame board here. But that is fine. Let's just bring out our 2,500 and swing in. I am not a very competent Beast Gear pilot. That said, clearing this card should actually be relatively difficult. Oh, but they are making a move. I wonder what they have. Shout is going to clear out 2 of my boss monsters. Actually pretty strong. We know that they're on some kind of stall deck due to how many cards they have left in deck. And being able to remove 2 of my 6 boss monsters in one fell swoop is quite threatening. And now I don't have my Catapult Kong to be able to clear this Yami Ruler either. I mean, I can summon the low levels, I guess. And then we just try to beat over what we can. Without the 3rd Catapult Kong, I don't think my deck actually has a way to defeat a defense mode Yami Ruler. Well, I guess I can actually do that. No, yeah, because this can only declare attack on attack position monsters. Oh, and they're gonna mill me even more. Interesting. Oh, and we have to start worrying about all of these big trap cards now. Actually bringing out the Yami Ruler. Not what I expected. It might be a sign that they have the Widespread Ruin, but we're gonna go for it anyway. 1, 2. And then we're just gonna summon, one monster. Oh, it's Phantom Bind. That's unfortunate. Yeah, this is also a deck weak to Phantom Bind. I had not even considered this at any point before right now. When I was building the deck, I just haven't seen a Phantom Bind in so long. I overlooked it completely. But honestly, there's no way we win this game. Like, wow, is this bad? Like, we're going to deck out. They still have 17 cards, even if we did nothing. So we're just gonna keep playing until we do. And here's another Phantom Bind, which does even more than the first one. Bum, 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 bum. I am getting a little tired of getting wrecked on ladder over and over. Is there anyone around that would want to do a duel room? I'm fine with losing a bunch of games in a duel room. So I still probably won't be bringing anything super powerful. I could actually test out an idea I had previously, where if you manage to win enough games in a row, you can get a special little skill in my Discord, or a special role in the Discord server. But whatever you all want to do. How cheap is this deck? Very free-to-play friendly. Well, that is the one thing this deck has going for it. I mean, I can summon out the curry bots, I guess. One, two. So they need widespread here. Barrier and Phantom Bind both aren't going to cut it, but they have the widespread because we've given them so much time. Alright, Stan, after this game, I will go ahead and set up a room. Excited to see what kind of decks you bring. I'll just pass, and then I want to get the gate keys or whatever it is for losing the game. And then we'll do a test run of my new viewer battle concept. I'll change it over on the Twitch. When it's not my turn. Here we go. Twice would ruin also the last card in the deck, but it didn't matter because my opponent never attacked. Alright, so I will set up the duel room, and then the way this works, I'm going to have 5 decks. 4 of them are not that strong, but one of them is a full power, no banlist Dragonic Resonance deck. If you're able to beat the 4 weaker decks, you'll get a roll if you're in the Discord. And if you beat all 5, you'll get a different roll. Let me go ahead and make the duel room. Create room. We need rush duels. Capacity can be whatever. Regulations, none. And duel timer 180 is normal. Oh, let me get the room number up for Stan. Alright. Do I have the... I mean, I can just add text. Oh wait, we can just add existing duel room info. Make it small. This is not the right room, though. 876852. And then we are going to switch up to our first E4 deck. First up is my foils only. So I have some stuff like the Aqua Engine. I have a Dragius in here. Some relatively useful cards, but it's not all that powerful. So I think you should be able to at least take the first game. Have I tried Gavin's free-to-play Warrior Beatdown? If you mean the Blue Falcon formation, I have played with it before. Though, as a zero gem deck, I don't think it's as good as Beast Gear can be, actually. If you throw in cards like the Yami Rulers and whatnot, which are compatible with the skill, it becomes a little bit better. But I mean, overall, it's not great. Stance is kind of bad, so maybe not. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully I typed the room ID correctly. Let me double check. That looks about right to me. So I'd say I'd be willing to do one or maybe two of these challenges as a beta test. Before we do it as a dedicated stream in the future. Ba-ba-bum, ba-da-bum. Bum, 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 bum. Hassan says, don't have a good deck, but we'll join the room. Yeah, sure. I will do my battles against Stan until Stan completes or loses the challenge, and then we'll fight Hassan. And that'll be probably long enough that I'll call it a day after that. Or I guess if they're here first, we'll do that. Okay, we see Roa, which should be a relatively competent deck, I imagine. Let's see what we go for. Nothing happens if you lose. It's just like a regular viewer battle at that point. Let's go ahead and bring out a couple of monsters. Tremble in fear of the Prismatic Triadrago and Shout. So most decks probably don't actually want to bring out their boss monsters turn 1 like this. But I'm running 13 tribute monsters. So I'm going to brick if I leave a bunch of tributes in my hand. Let's see what we draw. That is a lot of tribute monsters. See what I mean? We get a tea set from Communism, but I have 2 Prismatic Curse of Dragons. Then I'll activate Dragius' effect, and if that trap card can't stop me, I'm getting in for a lot of damage here. Oh, wait, this might actually just be game. Alright, so the Prismatic Curse of Dragons put in some work against a brick. Oh, I see the other player has not yet entered the room. I mean, we can give it another shot. Since that was the first duel, we can keep going until the other player arrives. Or maybe do a second challenge if it's taking them a while. By the way, which player is Communism? Is this Stan or Hassan? I don't even know who I'm playing against. Alright, pretty similar looking opening hand. But this time only 2 low-level monsters. So I'm gonna tribute summon. And and then tribute summon again. Let's see how this goes. Hi, how are you? Says, that was fast. Yeah, I was not expecting the T set into no relevant back row. Anything is possible when a glossy Dragius is uncontested. Alright, here comes a Growl, kind of a card I was expecting to see. However, my face down monster, Gaia the Fierce Knight, has more than enough defense to shrug off this blow. It's my move. And we see a familiar face. Let's bring out Seahorse Carrier and a Prismatic Phoenix Dragon. We'll tribute it off for a Prismatic Curse of Dragon. But then we're here for another tribute summon. Oh, but actually, hold on a second. We can clear our hand. Phoenix Dragon discards the Dark Magician to add back Curse of Dragon. And maybe I don't even summon my final card. 3 monsters is a pretty strong start. Let's swing in with Gaia and see what they have. Widespread Ruin could stop an attack, but this is looking good. We clear out the All-Seeing White Tiger, and Curse of Dragon goes in next. My double Curse of Dragon, ready to put in the work one more time. And at the same time, we are saving our best monster for later, should they be able to get over this board. Silverwolf coming down. Something I do have to worry about is my opponent summoning out heavy metals. As a 2500 attack point monster, I do have some difficulties getting over them. But first we see a tribute set. But that can't be it. They have to bring something else out, otherwise they wouldn't have used the Silverwolf. And here it is, Royal Wolf's Heavy Metal, after tributing off a Growl. Heavy Metal's effect is now live, able to destroy Curse of Dragon and absorb 2,000 attack points. My Gaia the Fierce Knight is not sticking around like this. It's our move. Let's use Shout. Activate its effect, and we can ditch the blue Falcon Tengu. Then Grace Princess Kana comes out, and we tribute summon. At this point, there's not too much we can do, but kind of just hope they don't have any relevant trap cards, but we know they do. We're already aware of this. Here comes a barrier, crushing our Dragius' dream. And leaving us pretty vulnerable going into the next turn. So that's 500, and Black Dragon Rising looks like Communism is going to be able to take the rematch. Which means I will be progressing over to the second deck in the Elite Four Challenge. Eventually. It'll still take them a couple of minutes to actually perform the combo and KO me. Bum, bum, bum. Wee. Alright, looks like they have another boss monster, but it's the tribute summoned Red Eyes Black Dragon, rather than using the effect of Chick. Pretty interesting. But I'll take some damage here, see how it goes. Unfortunately, Widespread Ruin is not a glossy or prismatic card, so it is not currently in the deck. Okay, here is actually our one way of getting over opposing boss monsters. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough right now. As you can see, they have game on board. Crowd can activate the effect to weaken this heavy metal. But even with this, this is not going to be enough. The Red Eyes Black Dragon can swing in, and then All-Seeing White Tiger is going to be able to take us down. Or they can just go for the heavy metal for the maximum disrespect. Alright, let's see if communism can defeat the second deck. Oh, and Stan is here as well. So maybe I should give Stan the chance, since Stan kind of replied first and was also and technically communism did lose a duel. So we'll start with Stan, and that means we'll stick with the foil for one more game. Let's see if Stan is able to take 4 in a row. What deck have they brought to the challenge? Good game, Felipe. Oh, and I guess I can turn off the duel room info. Alright, opening hand, not looking great. We see 3 level 7 monsters. Always a potential issue here. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, ba, ba, bum, ba, ba, bum. Okay. Nothing out of the ordinary just yet. Okay, so we are up against a Noodles. I like it. Let's see if we can put on a good show. We do need a low-level monster if we want to compete. This is not looking great. Let's see what Stan goes for. Go ahead and take the win if you can do it. Definitely go for it. The lethal push here. Ba-ba-ba-da-bum. Ba-ba-ba-ba-da-bum. Alright, we see Flame Champion, so this might be the Noodle Art Boost Pure deck. But is this just a ploy to get more normal monsters into the graveyard? It is. With 2 Spice the Elite Noodle Ninja, we are taking a ton of damage. Let's see if they have anything else. Another low-level Pyro should be enough to close the game. Even before you really take into account these boosts. Because that's 4,400, I'd be down to just 1,600. Oh, and we see a Monster Reincarnation. So probably just grabbing a stock. Or the Flame Champion if they do have another low level. It is stock, and with that on the board, we now see 5,400. Plus, each one is going to be boosting by 900. So that's plus 1,800. And then an additional one. This is actually a slight misplay, even though it doesn't matter. You should always use the effect of Spice before you activate Roastery, because Spice will put another monster into the graveyard for you. And then your Roasteries can potentially get additional damage. That said, when I have nothing on board, it obviously does not actually matter. So we see the Noodles take the first game. We will be switching over to our next deck, which is Psychic. Let's go to the deck editor. Pick in our second Elite Four member, Roman, and see how it does. Bum bum bum. Good luck, Stan. Ba-da-bum. Alright, and they get the first move. Though, is that even good for a Noodle deck? I guess they get the chance to set up the graveyard a little bit. But I feel like they're not really going to be doing anything crazy. Ba-ba-ba-ba-da-bum, ba-ba-ba-da-bum. Alright, we see attack position monsters. Interesting start. Normally players will set on the first turn. So I'm interested to see if we're able to take advantage of this. The answer is no. We open basically unplayable for the second game in a row. The universe has conspired to give Stan these wins. Ba-ba-ba-bum. The reason we kept the telepathic agent in hand is that next turn we want to be able to draw the low-level monster that at least gets us able to play the game again. Otherwise, we just lose. Like, if we just set the one agent, it's not good enough. Ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-bum. Ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-bum. Do we I think we might actually survive this turn. It's not a whole lot, but that means there's always the chance for a comeback. So we're not gonna give up just yet. Welcome, Tico. Hope you're having a good day. And yeah, okay. We will give Stan the second win. Very funny to see the kinds of games we've been getting. Next up, we are going to be playing Light Machine. However, this is free-to-play Light Machine, so we don't have the third copy of either of our boss monsters, pretty significantly handicapping our deck. Let's see how Stan does. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-bum.
Ikyo, Gakuto. 生徒会長だからって手加減なんかしないよ。行きますよ、優雅くん。このラッシュデュエル楽しませていただきます。行くよ。参ります。ラッシュデュエル。行きますよ。私のターン。ドローです。 いでよモンスターを召喚さあ行きますよモンスターをアドバンス召喚お見せしましょうモンスターを召喚さあ行きますよモンスターを召喚ターンエンドです最初からアクセル全開猛スピードでロードロード
Okay, so we do have two boss monsters here. And we can return one if we want to use the skill. But I think I'd rather return the Seahorse Carrier so we get a chance to use it later in the game. After that, we can bring in the Aim Eagle. And even though we're not able to use the effect, what we're going to do is mill with the Silver Wolf. And maybe we should have done this first, because if we mill an Aqua... So, yeah, so we milled an Aqua, so we could have actually used the Seahorse Carrier had we gotten it. And brought out both of our boss monsters. Unfortunate. In any case, let's go ahead and reduce this Flavor Inspector. And then we're going to summon the Ace Breaker. We don't get to use the effect because neither of these monsters are light. But this is still a pretty reasonable board state. Flame Champion is the one that poses more of a threat to us. So let's go ahead and remove that. And then we're removing the Flavor Inspector because it is also a Pyro monster. And we don't want we want as few Pyro monsters as possible when the opponent activates the Elite Noodle Ninja. Oh, welcome, Sarah. Hope you're doing all right. We did some forest-themed gameplay earlier, and now we're doing a little challenge, kind of Pokemon-inspired thing where I've prepared a bunch of decks for Stan to beat, and if they can beat them all, they get a special little role in the Discord server. Other than that, my day has been going pretty well. Woke up kind of late, but other than that, nothing too crazy. We went to Kana and Tiger. Then Acebreaker. I am kind of hungry though, so the stream's probably not going to go on for super long. We're using Seahorse Carrier, returning the Lamoon to hand. And then we're going to do a little maneuvering. We Ultimate Bond and send away our Seahorse Carrier so we can actually use it again on a future turn. We can actually theoretically even just like use Acebreaker here. But I'm not sure that's really worth it. Because I kind of want to keep these around. So we're just going to head into battle. Stan not having any cards to activate here is actually kind of concerning. Oh, and we crash. Because if they don't have any traps, that means they probably have Noodle Arts of Roastery. And when the roasting starts, my lifespan rapidly decreases. I probably actually should have summoned out the Tough Striker here so I could have the Acebreaker around for later. And use it to destroy something. Other than just having it get destroyed with no value. And we see a Seahorse Carrier, so Stan is about to combo off. I think we might be running Shield and Sword in this deck though, so as long as we don't die in one hit, we do have a chance of making a comeback by just reducing everything they control to 0 defense. Or 0 attack. Oh, we actually aren't able to use Ultimate Bond anymore. Because of the Aim Eagle being a 2 of. We did not pay money, we do not have the third Aim Eagle. So this suddenly becomes very interesting. And we are running out of ways to kind of safely play. We see another monster coming down. Show me a second spice. I mean, if they're comboing off so much with the Elite Noodle Ninja, I imagine they have to have two. Yep, just as expected. And then there are quite a few normal monsters in these graveyards. So when the Noodle Arts of a Roastery start flipping up, we are in trouble. We see Noodle Art Boost being activated. It doesn't really matter which one they target. We don't have any face downs or anything. And these monsters are going to be going to 4,000. Assuming there's a second one. Oh, okay, and we see the spices activating after the Noodle Art of Roastery again. I mean, that is a ton of damage, but it might not actually be lethal. Let's see what they've got. Oh wait, is that exactly? No, that's 20. No, it's exact lethal. They got me. Which means it's time for deck number 4. Stan is just one win away from clearing our first gauntlet. Then it'll be a fight against the champion deck. Let's see if they're able to do it. For our final fight, we are using a deck composed of 1 copy of each box run, plus, oh, where did Stan go? So our final deck is a, oh, there they are, is a Servant of Dawn deck, but it's been nerfed a bit. Oh, okay. Let's try again. Here we go. So we only have, for example, 1 Dragias available to us. And I'm also testing a variant with Dark Magician, I think. Alright, interesting opening hand. Let's see what we go. No normal monsters means this Pocket Pikachu is unlikely to be live on the next turn. But these are cards that could come in handy later. Let's just go ahead and pass. We haven't seen any spell or trap removal from Stan so far, but they definitely could be running some cards like the Ghost Cyclone to try to remove our back row, which would be an issue. Let's see what they go for. Alright, they are just summoning monsters immediately. As it currently stands, I don't think I need to actually use my trap cards here. I'd rather wait for a bigger noodle-themed push, rather than save, like, a random monster. It is possible I regret it when I end up bricking on the next turn, but we're gonna wait and hold for now. Noodle Art Boost can bring up the stock to 1,400, allowing it to defeat just about any set monster, but you might also want to target the Flavor Inspector, as if I do have a 1,400 defense point monster like a Grace Princess Kana, they would not be able to clear it by boosting the stock. That said, they are going to be able to get through this board. Now, if I did have a normal monster, I would protect the Pocket Pikachu, but since it can't use the effect, I'm not as inclined to bother saving it. Let's see what happens as we head into the next turn. Armento says, surprise more new free-to-play players aren't playing the Noodle deck. Seems good and with OTK potential. Yeah, so, Noodles are definitely a reasonable deck. I respect them as a deck in the format. Obviously they are not, like, the toppest of tiers, but I don't think something needs to be playable. There is definitely an issue where if players are on the newly added shield and sword cards, you are going to have a much worse matchup against them. Because all these cards have very low defense except for stock. But I think it's fine. We see Widespread Ruin. They are destroying this. I'll just take out the Flavor Inspector anyway. Flavor Inspector is able to clear Gazelle even through a trap card, whereas stock only goes up to 1400 with Noodle Art Boost. That's what I was trying to say. There we go. Alright, let's see what Stan is drawing this turn. I have a Lone Gazelle, but on board they actually don't have an out. The Roman pick is really interesting. They're able to pay a couple of life points, and I don't think they're ever expecting to actually add any monsters back. Just being able to mill 3 gets more cards in for future Noodle Ninja plays. And maybe they had a monster reincarnation to synergize with it. Noodle Art Boost, going to boost up one of their monsters. Let's find out. Okay, so I can actually protect myself completely here if I do use my Music Princess's Recital. So that seems very worth it. One trap card to save myself from 3,000 damage. At some point, it's worth it. And it even keeps my Gazelle alive to be tributed on the next turn. Speedy Performer is interesting. I think I'll go for it. Let's Speedy Performer, boost up Gazelle, summon out another Gazelle, and here's a nice little combo. I bring in Dark Magician, and from my hand is the spell card, Dark Magic Attack, clearing out their traps. Servant of Dawn, also able to boost Dark Magician up, and we are going to clear out these 2 Pyro monsters. Keeping the Aqua on board makes the most sense because it does not get boosted by Spice the Elite Noodle Ninja. So after that, we can go ahead and pass turn. Their graveyard is getting filled with normal monsters, and they still haven't seen any spices. So I'm expecting them to be playing one down this turn. What did we destroy anyway? A barrier and a roastery. So nothing that was actually going to make a difference this turn. But still better to get rid of the roasteries now, rather than have them actually able to activate it later. Right, in comes a Fire Yarrow. And a Noodle Art Boost right away, just to clear the Gazelle. That seems like a very weak turn. There has to be more coming afterwards. Alright, setting 1. And a set card 2. I mean, yeah, I'll let them take out Gazelle. That is not really a concern to me. And they already have shown their own widespread, so we're going to be able to get in for some big damage. Especially with a hand like this. Let's bring out the one and only Multi-Strike Dragon Dragius. Activate the effect, and then we're gonna Monster Reincarnation. Just grab ourselves a low level. Normal summon, and let's battle. Swing in. Clear this, and as long as it's not a recital of their own, this should be game. So unfortunately, Stan has gone down on the 4th and final member of the Elite Four. Servant of Dawn, protecting the role. Now, I know Hassan has been waiting for quite some time, so let's go ahead and get Hassan's challenge started. Also, Stan, I think going 3-0 was still a really good start and showing for the Noodle deck. So we'll do Hassan. We're starting back at the beginning of the Elite Four with foils. Change my deck up, and let's get to it. let's see what kind of deck Hassan has built. Assuming they are still around. Sometimes people enter the duel room and then have to go before it's actually time to play. But we'll give them a minute to see if they are indeed still here or not. Bum, bum, bum. Stan says, was fun, got lucky a few times. I mean, breaking the first game or two is kind of to be expected. The foil-only deck runs a ton of tributes, and I definitely didn't want the first battle to be particularly difficult. Which is why it's something silly like running a bunch of prismatic cards. But it seems that Hassan is not here, so we are gonna go ahead and call it a day. Stan, thank you for helping me test out the challenge. I had fun, and thanks to everyone who stuck around and watched today. Hopefully I'll see you all on